Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today we are going to be doing some baking. And all of the ingredients come from level 1. So we could use these for our first 60 days of meals that we have targeted as a goal for us all to have in place. 60 days of meals, that's 2 months where we could eat from our level 1 without much a worry at all. So every one of these ingredients is from level 1. This is fresh milk, but I have plenty of powdered milk if the day came when I couldn't get fresh milk. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mix wet ingredients in here, and this is my other mixing bowl that comes with my Anckersham. And then we're going to mix dry ingredients here, and then we're going to put them together, and we're going to then put them in this 10-inch cast iron skillet. Now, this is a well-seasoned skillet, but I have greased it with a layer of shortening anyway, and then we're going to bake it in the oven. Now, this recipe could also be baked off-grid, either in, we have a propane oven that we could use for this, although this may be too fat for it. So the other alternative is to just bake it right in a Dutch oven over charcoal. So there are options here that we can use for now when we have our kitchen ovens, or for later if we have to go off grid. And that's what makes it a recipe so great, is that we can not only use the ingredients that we already have from our storage, but we have a number of ways that we might be able to actually finish it off. Now, the flavor on this is a little bit sweet. We're going to be using applesauce. In fact, we're using some of our home canned applesauce from, are you ready for this? 2016. So this is 8 years old, and this is from our own apple trees. We had a bumper crop in 2016, and I still have a lot of jars of applesauce from 2016, and they are perfectly fine. I'll be tasting that as soon as we open it up to make sure that everything is okay there. No worries about botulism here, because this is high acid. Botulism cannot grow in a high acid environment. So the only thing that we would be worried about is other contaminations that we can usually always smell. So I'll be smelling it and tasting that before we put it in. But I have absolutely no worries about this. We have been using this for now 8 years, and it's just as good as can be. So let's get started. I think I want to start with the dry ingredients first. Now, this recipe I have put together with a combination of recipes across the internet, and I adjusted it so that we can use level 1 ingredients. And so that is an advantage for all of us. So we're going to be using 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is my usual all-purpose flour from King Arthur, and I scoop it in with a spoon, level it off, and put it in. I don't scoop in like this for it because that changes the amount that can actually go in there. So if we just lightly spoon it in and then level it off across the top, that is good to go. Next comes 1 tablespoon of baking powder from here. I'm putting in 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and that is so that we can have a little reaction between the acid of the applesauce and the baking soda to help with the leavening. Then I have 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And this is not Morton. We reuse this container for our Utah real salt, so it's a little bit pink. There's the salt. Now we're going to be putting in 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. A 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg is always good with apples. And 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. Actually, that was just the allspice. Here is the nutmeg. And then we'll whisk this together. Mixing the dry ingredients together does have an advantage. However, if I were doing this off-grid, where I didn't want to have to wash a lot of dishes, I would not do this. I would just add it right into the wet ingredients. But we're trying to do it in a good way. And then a half a cup of sugar. That I almost forgot. So that's 2/4 cups, which is a half a cup. Now our applesauce is also sweet. So you can use either sweetened or non-sweetened. Our apples are just plain sweet. So I used, in fact, for this particular jar, I don't think these are our sweet apples, really sweet apples, and so I don't think I used any sweetening at all. I don't even see any evidence of cinnamon there either, so this is just unsweetened plain applesauce. Okay, our dry ingredients are ready. Let's get our wet ingredients ready. I'm going to move these out of my way. So here are 2 room temperature eggs. These eggs are from my daughter's chickens. They bring us over eggs once in a while, which is lovely. We used to have chickens, but we have given them up. And then one cup of milk. And I am just using regular vitamin D milk, whole milk. You could use skim or 2%, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to stick this right in the fridge. And then we've got 3 tablespoons of oil. And we'll put the beater on here and mix those together. All right, now I'm going to start adding the flour mixture. All right, that looks about like cake batter. And now we're going to open this applesauce. Smell is perfect. The top has darkened, so I'm just going to discard the top. And then we'll do a little taste test. Just as good as can be. And we need 1 1/4 cups of this applesauce. And mixing again. And I'm taking the beaters off. And I'm just going to stir this up by hand a little bit. So into the pan it goes. And it's pretty well evened all the way across. And because I'm going to use the turbinado sugar instead of regular sugar, turbinado sugar, it's cane sugar, it's sugar in the raw, and it's larger grained and a little bit chunky. So I'm just going to sprinkle it with cinnamon. I'm not going to mix the sugar and the cinnamon together, but you can certainly do that if you like. Just a little dusting of the cinnamon. And then here's the turbinado sugar. You can see that it's large grained, and I'm just going to sprinkle the top with it. And this is about a tablespoon, maybe just a little bit more. And this will give it a little bit of a sweet crunch on the top. And there we have it. So it's going to go in the oven, 350 for 35 to 40 minutes until the toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean, and we will come back at that point. Look how beautiful this turned out. Nice and risen. The top looks very nice. Some of the sugar has sunk down in a little bit, but that's just fine. So this is enough to feed the multitudes. It will certainly last Jim and me for a while. And, you know, I don't ever hesitate to make big batches of stuff because we use our freezer for a lot of our level 1 preparation. And so I can cut this in quarters and then freeze 3 of the quarters, and we can have it for 3 more days. So let's take a little taste. And this is perfect for breakfast or, let's see, I'm going to take about 1/8 of this. And we've let it sit for about 5 minutes. You might want to let it sit even for a little bit longer. Yeah, I'd probably want it to sit for just a little longer. But let's taste this. It has risen really nicely. The addition of that baking soda really helped with the leavening agent. I can see the bubbles that it has produced in the dough. It's really good. Really, really good. Such a perfect breakfast bread, or also as an accompaniment to meals that have strong flavors. This will kind of cool things down with the flavors. The other day when we made our garlic shrimp with orzo meal, the 1-pot meal, it was so delicious. After we had it in the refrigerator for 3 or 4 hours waiting for dinner and we warmed it up, the flavors had even increased and gotten stronger and more delicious. And this would have been a great accompaniment for that meal as well. But we couldn't wait because we just ate it all and it was wonderful. We have another meal out in the freezer now that we can, next time we serve it, add a quarter of this that I'm going to freeze to that. But the turbinado sugar has made a really nice little crunch of a crust on the top, and the texture is lovely. It is just absolutely lovely. And it is so fast. we could put that together and get it in the oven in about 10 minutes. And so it's really a great now and later type of a recipe. Now in our ovens, and later if we have to go off grid, again, as we mentioned earlier, in the Dutch oven would be a great way to cook it as well. Perfect recipe to add to our level 1 food storage efforts. So I hope you try this. Our next video, I think, is going to be where we talk about safe canning books, after an incident that we had where we did a special announcement on a fake ball blue book that I got snagged on, that we've returned, and I got my money back on it. And funny thing, they don't want it back. Oh my, I wonder why. So in any case, enjoy this recipe, and we will see you very soon for You Got It more videos.